Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to Strider's live organizer training session. I am Tara Swersey. I'm here tonight with Natasha Springers-Levine. We're both from the Strider leadership team. I'm the CEO. Natasha is the COO. Between the two of us, we will probably have answers to anything you can think to ask. So feel free to ask away. What you'll want to use to lodge your questions in real time is the Q&A feature that's on your Zoom menu bar. So it's right next to where you see the chat, which you probably have used previously in meetings, but use the Q&A, go ahead and send your questions over. We've lost our mind reading ability a long time ago, so we don't know what questions are going on in your head as you hear information and see the slides. Feel free to ask your questions. We want to make sure this is productive and helpful for all of you. So thank you for joining, and we'll get into it. All right, so I know there are some new faces tonight on the webinar. We've got about 30 people that are going to be joining and other people that are going to be watching this on demand. So we've got some new faces that haven't seen the software before, and we've got some existing users of the software and some venues that are looking for some additional tips and tricks. So we'll be covering some of the frequently asked questions that come to us from our various users and venues. We'll give you some insights into the differences between StriderBasic and StriderGold, because that's changed over the last year. We'll give you the updates on StriderPay, because that's always a very interesting one. We'll introduce you to StriderPlus if you haven't heard of it before. Natasha will go over the demo, walk you through a lot of what you can experience when you're setting it up as an organizer. She'll walk you through what your riders are seeing after you've set it up, what the rider's experience is, and then we'll walk you through a bit of the organizer's best practices, give you the Q&A session. You can ask, again, any questions you want. Feel free to put them into the Q&A section of Zoom. You can put them in real time, or you can wait till the end, whatever works for you. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. Our mission at Strider, for those of you who are just new to us, is we want to ensure that everyone can have simple, efficient, stress-free organization across disciplines. So we are a universal entry platform, meaning we don't specialize in one discipline. If you want to do Western reining, if you want to do dressage, eventing, jumpers, equitation, pony club, you name it, the software is designed to support you. We want to make it efficient for you as an organizer to be able to reach your riders and fill your activities, understanding that you're an equestrian organizer and there's certain things that are very nuanced to equestrians when they're organizing that don't work in the general population. So Eventbrite might not be totally perfect for you to reach riders and fill your activities. So we've customized a lot of our stuff with the idea of making it work for the equestrian industry. And as it works for the industry, we want it to be universal, easy, simple, convenient, especially for the riders that you're trying to reach, so that they can find out about the opportunities you're hosting, you're sharing, that you're offering to them, and they can enter very quickly, very easily, get you all the information you need to have for a complete entry, or attendance, or participation, and make sure you get your payment fast and easily. Our software suite. We have organizer software, we have free, and we have some additional subscription features. So our free software, which many of you are on, is StriderBasic. This is your entry-level software. It's going to allow you to get convenient digital entries and payments. It's very utilitarian. It works across all disciplines. It's fantastic for the venues that perhaps are just starting out with some schooling shows. Don't need a whole heck of a lot of customization on their entry form, aren't after the riders all the time to pay the mandatory fees. The riders are doing pretty well on that one. And for venues that are not offering USEF sanctioned activities. So for a vast majority of venues out there, the StriderBasic is going to work perfectly well. But if you're a venue that's processing a large volume of money, if you're hosting USEF sanctioned activities or recognized activities with another association, if you need really the full functionality, you need to be able to customize the data that you're pulling in on the entry forms. If you need to insist that the rider pay the mandatory fees, so you're not wasting your time chasing them down for $15 of a facility fee, then you're going to be looking at StriderGold. That's our professional level software. It's full functionality. It's basically an enhanced version of the StriderBasic. Gives you a lot more capability, data storage for a longer period of time, a lot more functionality. regardless of what level you look at, you're going to get access to our StriderPay service. So StriderPay is our proprietary payment processing service that protects you from merchant fees. This is hands down one of the most popular things about using Strider, because listen, at the end of the day, if you're an equestrian organizer and equestrian venue, you probably don't have an offshore bank account with all the spare profits you've made from organizing horse shows that you've funneled off into, you know, the Bahamas or someplace. You've got a very tight profit margin. Sometimes you're losing money on the horse shows, and you want to make sure that if you're collecting digital payments, you're not out of pocket on it. You're not losing 3%. You're not losing 4%. So our StriderPay service is possibly the most unique service in the industry because it protects you from those fees. We have the ability through our partnership with PayPal to add those fees up front to what we collect from the rider on your behalf, so that the rider is automatically paying the fees for you and you're not seeing it hit your bottom line. It's hugely popular. It's fantastic. The riders love it because it's got their choice of payment methods, whether it's Venmo, credit card, PayPal. It's great. StriderPlus, that's our standalone digital waiver service. StriderPlus can be used with Strider, or it can be used anywhere else that you want to use it. So if you want to use it at your farm and just say, hey, people are trailering in, I'm not using Strider this week, I'm using, you know, they're trailering in to use my arena, you can use StriderPlus. If you want to use another entry provider because that's what your, you know, show secretary is using, you can use StriderPlus. It is simply a custom link on the internet where we have digitized and stored your waiver, your language, whatever you want, your farm, USEFs, USEA, USDFs, whomever. The riders can go to it on their phone. Their parents can go to it on their phone. They can sign, you go to it. Very easy, very convenient. So that's the suite of the products that we're going to be demoing today for you and giving you some exposure to. Again, StriderBasic and StriderGold are the two levels of the organizer software that you want to be thinking about. StriderPay is coming with both of them, and StriderPlus is if you really want to make your life much easier. The number one question that we get asked, hands down, and Natasha's heard this more times than I can count, is what is it going to cost me? Again, unless you've got that offshore bank account, we know that organizers do not want to pay money for software. So we have designed Strider to protect your bottom line and to make you money, not cost you a lot of money. So StriderBasic's free. It's going to give you automatic access to StriderPay, assuming you're qualified for it. I'll talk about that in a moment, which means you're going to save on your processing costs. You're not going to be paying out of pocket all those Venmo fees, PayPal fees, credit card fees. You're going to be saving thousands of dollars in processing fees annually. It's great. The riders are going to pay your revenue collection and your handling costs. They're paying it for you. They're used to it. They are really happy that they've got the ability to pick up their phone and just enter a horse show. So when they see an additional modest fee added to their entry, they're used to paying it. They're used to the venues coming to them and saying, add $5 if you want to pay me online. The StriderGold plans, also pretty straightforward. Your plans are going to start roughly at like $35 a month if you're on the annual plan. Your StriderGold plan, again, that's what's going to give you the additional functionality. It's also going to give you additional visibility, which Natasha will get into with the search engine optimization, Google search results, things like that. So if you're looking to boost your entries, if you're looking to not spend your time going after the riders for information or for fees, StriderGold is going to let you automate all that collection, get you more entries, get you more revenue. You ask yourself, how much is 1, 2, 5, 10 more entries worth a show? 20 more entries, and it pays for itself. It's very straightforward. It's an easy win. It also gives you access to our revenue share capability, which I'll get into in a little bit when I talk about StriderPay. StriderPlus. If you have ever chased down somebody on your driveway with a clipboard, if you've ever watched somebody fall off at your venue and realized they never signed a waiver, if you ever figured out that your waivers went through the laundry because you forgot that you shoved it in your britches, you want to just sign up for StriderPlus. You're going to get a digital copy of your waiver, digitally signed by the rider or their parent. It's a PDF. It's a permanent copy. Your insurance company is going to love you You're not going to have to stop what you're doing to run a clipboard out or a piece of paper out to the guy looking at the show for sale. It comes down to cost-wise, like a quarter of signature. So you can do 100 signatures a month, 200 signatures a month, whatever. It's very straightforward. But for the amount of stress that people tend to put onto whether or not somebody has put their waiver into their horse show entry, give them the ability just to put their waiver in with StriderPlus. You know, at a quarter a signature, it's going to make your life so much easier. You might as well just automate it and use it. And as we're going to see in a bit, you can use it on Strider, you can use it on Horse Show Office, wherever you want to use it. It's a link, it's a QR code. Use it anywhere. Number 2 question, what can I do with Strider? So we've started off with, if you're on StriderBasic, you basically have access to all this wonderful stuff, and it's not costing you anything out of pocket. What can you do with that functionality? Well, you're going to collect digital entries and payments. So you're going to get all the rider's details. You're going to get all the documents that they've attached. You're going to get all the signatures that they've attached to their entry. You're going to be able to customize your activities as much as you want. It's a user-controlled platform. You're in charge. So if you want to offer, you know, pink polka dotted pony races for your pony club, then offer pink polka dotted pony races. If you want to promote your activities, we make it really easy with a custom URL for every single activity for you to be able to send it out in an email, post it on social media, wherever you want to get the word out. You're going to be able to do that. You're going to have a dashboard. Your dashboard's going to let you track and manage all your entries, see what documents came in, see what riders didn't send you documents. You're not going to have to worry about, oh, did they send me a Coggins? Is the Coggins this year? When am I going to get the Coggins? You have 24/7 access to everything because that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to just make your life easier and allow you to be in charge of it. So that means you're going to be running reports. If you want to sync the reports or the entries to one of our scoring partners, you can do that as long as you're on StriderGold, because that's a StriderGold feature. If you want to boost your revenue because you've automated all this collection and you're able to absorb more entries without losing your mind with paper processing, you can do that. So your life becomes a great deal easier. What can the riders do? Well, the riders can start entering all of your shows, your clinics, your schooling events, your arena rentals, whatever, really easily from any phone that they have or their desktop. That means that all those excuses of like, oh, I didn't get home till 9 o'clock at night, I didn't have a chance to enter, I didn't get onto my computer, or my computer's not with me, whatever. It's all from their phone. It's very straightforward. It's very easy. If you want to use their desktop, that's fine. They're welcome to use their desktop. But what's amazing about Strider is 100% guest accessible. What does that mean? It means you don't have to create a rider member profile just to enter a horse show on Strider. So all of those people that are kind of interested in what you're offering, but don't want the hassle of creating a member account on yet another platform, they don't have to. They can just enter like a normal human being off the street, because that's what we designed the platform to do. We designed it so that you could reach the public if you wanted to reach the public, and anybody who's a rider can enter your activity. Now, if you want to lock it down, you can lock it down and say only these people with this invite code can do it. But they can enter your USEF sanctioned competitions, because Strider is a USEF certified entry provider, and they can enter your schooling shows. They can enter your Western barrel racing. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they can enter your dressage show at 2:15. They can enter your combined test and then your cross country, all on the same platform. It's universal. So they have a very consistent, accessible experience. They can use whatever choice of payment they want to do. So if they want to pay you with Venmo and you're like, I don't have a Venmo account, that's okay, because we're going to convert those funds into your account regardless of how the rider pays. That means they can pay you when you're supposed to get paid, rather than giving you necessarily an excuse that, oh, I didn't bring my checkbook. So you can get paid promptly for any activity you have. If they're trailering in, you scan your QR code, go to your Strider activity, fill it out, pay, you get the money. They can sign immediately if they have StriderPlus, your waiver. You're eliminating a lot of the excuses for why your activities are not filling as completely and quickly as you want. So it really makes it very straightforward for the riders, which in turn makes it pretty nice for you as the organizer. All right, top 10 Strider features. We pulled together the top 10 list because Natasha will go into a lot of the features, but basically, what are the more popular features on Strider that you're going to see? We talked about automated entry and payment collection. You post your activity on Strider, you specify your details, you customize it, and then the entries start coming in. You don't have to answer 15,000 questions. You don't have to send text messages and, process paper. You don't have to do data entry into a spreadsheet. You don't have to manually upload document after document or have them call you with a specific rider request. It's all automated. It's all going to come straight into your Strider dashboard. The other thing that's automated is the payment processing through StriderPay. But what's really nice about that is you're getting your revenue in real time. So you're not waiting until after the closing date when the digital entry provider consolidates all your money and then sends you a check. You're getting your money the moment the rider enters. You get your funds, they get deposited into your account. And you're going to get the amount of money essentially that you've specified. So if you want 150 bucks, you're going to see about 150 bucks in your account because we protect you from the processing fees. That means if you have riders that are hesitant to enter because they think they might have to cancel and they don't want to wait 2.5 months for a refund, you've got their funds automatically. And if you choose, you can say, go ahead and enter because I'll give you 10 business days. I'll refund in 10 business days. I have the money. You can also pay your judges. You can pay your staff. You can, whatever you want to do. You get the money in real time. And that's really nice about StriderPay. I mentioned before, everything's organized, you're controlled. You can edit anything you post 24/7. Natasha mentioned when we started, for those of you who were on early, templates, you can post your create, hey, this is roughly what my show looks and feels like, but I have 7 of them a year. You create your template, you just post it all the time. And then, oh wait, my April show is going to be a little different. No worries, you just go ahead and edit it and then republish it. As you publish them, you're going to get a custom link for each and every activity. Excuse me. That means it's really easy for the riders to go just to your activities, just to your Strider stuff. And it's really easy for you to drive it. You're not saying, go to this website and then search and try to figure out where it is. You're saying, go to April 15th, go to June 15th. Here's the link for June 15th. Here are all the links. Very easy to put on social media as well. And make sure that people are going straight down that jump chute right into your activity. Spreadsheets. If any of you have spent time transcribing paper entries into a spreadsheet, this is probably your very favorite activity. Spreadsheets and reports are automated. So as the data comes in, you run a report, you run a spreadsheet, and you say, okay, how many entries do I have? What are their names? What am I going to assign them for? How much do they pay? Who's writing which test? Who's in which division? Who's in which class? It's all right there. It's all automated. The other thing that's automated is the vast majority of what you customize that Natasha's going to talk about. You say, hey, there's a late fee if you enter after the 5th. If you're on paper or if you're on something else, sometimes you have to say, hey, you owe me that late fee. You have to personalize the enforcement. This automates it. So if they try to enter after the 4th when you closed entries, they're automatically going to get charged the late fee and they pay it. If they're a rider who's a member and they want to change their entry online, they can change it online with Strider. They get charged the change fee that you specified and they pay it to change their entry. Really makes your life a lot easier. And all this stuff happens just quietly and automatically in the back end. You say when you want to open stuff, you say when you want to close it, you say, hey, listen, I can only take 8 riders in this clinic group. It's going to close that clinic group after 8 riders enter. Then you want to get a little bit more sophisticated. If you're a venue that's saying, listen, I'm processing $50,000 a year in entries, $500,000 a year in entries, anywhere in between, or I happen to have a membership where I need to have some mandatory stuff and make sure I collected a mandatory facility fee. I don't want to have to go after them. On StriderGold, you can set those mandatory fees and they automatically add to every entry that you collect and the rider can't unselect them. If you have specific data that you need to collect, custom entry forms, again with StriderGold, you can say, hey, listen, I need to know your team name. I need to know your chaperone name. I need to know what time you're trailering in. Whatever question you want to ask, you can specify that. So it's a lot of customization, a lot of flexibility that Strider gives you. Natasha will talk a bit about the free marketing. We have Strider's, some of the more popular things on Strider is that you've got that custom URL. It cross-publishes to Google, which means when someone's searching your activity on Google, which about 90% of people do these days, your Strider listing is going to pop up and they're going to go right to it and say, oh, I can enter now. It's very straightforward. That's free to you when you're using Strider. You got a closing date email that goes out to all the riders once a week. If you're coming up with a closing date, that goes out and reminds them. There's cross promotion that happens with our media partners. Again, that's all free to you. So it's kind of popular because it takes out some of the burden off what you need to be doing. Those of you who are doing either scored shows or USEF sanctioned competitions, we have a USEF certified entry sync over to your preferred scoring solution. We also have, for those of you that are either nonprofits, 501c3s, or larger volume venues, revenue share. So you're going to get preferred rates on Strider. We already talked about how you're protected from fees, but you're going to get a rev share back if you've got those preferred rates. That's a really nice feature to have, especially as you get a larger volume business, because you're basically just recouping all that money that you used to have to just pay out in processing fees. Really nice benefit to have. All right, how Strider works for you. We've gone through a quick run through of the more popular features, but it's pretty straightforward. You set up your account, you connect StriderPay, which we'll talk about in a moment. You specify, this is what's going on with my activities. You've got two paths of how you can specify them, which Natasha will talk about. We process the entry data and the payments for you in the back end. It's all automated. So you might get an entry at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's fine. The rider's going to get a confirmation email. You're going to get a notification email. It just happens automatically. You don't have to pick up the phone. You get all the money and the entry data showing up in your dashboard in real time. On the right-hand side shows you a sample of a venue that used their custom URL to post on social media. And you see how their initial description shows up and their promo picture shows up. So they customized it, and then they were able to take that customization and push it all over social media. So when anybody clicks on that link, they're going to go right to that venue's activity and then right to the registration. Great way to drive the entries. StriderPay. All right. Some of you are already on StriderPay, so bear with me for those of you who are not. We overhauled StriderPay and massively enhanced it last year. It is fantastic. It is hands down probably one of my favorite things about the platform because it allows the rider to pay you very easily, very simply with whatever path they want to pay you. We've had a lot of venues come to us and say, oh, the riders want to pay me with Venmo. Well, Venmo peer-to-peer is horrible with accounting. You know, if somebody pays you, if I pay Natasha $50 and I say, you know, this is for the clinic, she doesn't know if it's for the clinic on April 2nd, if it was for the clinic in February, she has no idea. It's just $50 that came through Venmo. The way we've integrated Venmo in our payment stack here on Strider is it automatically goes into your activity details. So it doesn't matter how the rider pays you, you're going to have a payment report and you're going to know exactly what that payment was for. It makes accounting hugely simplistic. Credit and debit, if they prefer to pay with credit debit, usually the larger amounts, so you see the riders wanting to use credit and debit. And if they want to use PayPal, it's their personal choice. We funnel all of those paths, Venmo, credit, debit cards, and PayPal, into your PayPal business account. That's what you need to get started with StriderPay. And you need about 5 minutes. So on the left-hand side, you've been seeing a GIF go. So you've got your Strider, you've got your PayPal business account set up. You go into Strider, you go to connect payments, you go click, you enter in the username and password for your account. Next, you go in and you say, yes, this is what I want. I'm going to log in. And then, yes, I authorize Strider to send me money. And it is that straightforward to get set up with StriderPay. If you have any problems, we have a dedicated support line to help you get set up and make sure it works. But the minute you're set up with StriderPay, the riders are going to be paying your transaction costs and your handling costs. So what does that work out to? Generally speaking, you're looking at about 5% plus a fixed fee of $3.49. So you're not paying out-of-pocket costs. The riders are thrilled because it's very reasonable and very cost effective for them. Again, if you've ever stood there and entered a horse show in 45 seconds and paid with Venmo, you would probably pay a lot more than $3.49 for that privilege. It's very user friendly. It's very accessible to the riders and lets them get on their horse and just do what they want to do. So if you have any questions on StriderPay, we can go into more details on it at the end, but it's been a fantastic upgrade for folks. The other two ways that you might consider upgrading your rider's experience, we talked about this quickly before. StriderGold. So if you have a USEF sanctioned activities on the left-hand side, if you want your description to get more visibility, if you want your activity to get more visibility, Natasha will talk a little bit about Google search results and free marketing, but StriderGold is designed to boost the visibility of your activities and get it in front of more riders' eyeballs. We have an audience of about 1.2 million equestrians across all the disciplines. So if you want to get in front of them and have them see you and find you on the internet, StriderGold is the way to go. If you have specific things that you need to make mandatory, if you have specific fields you want on your entry form, that the standard form just isn't going to cut it, you want to go with StriderGold. It's a way to just bring the riders straight through the experience without having them necessarily read 15 instructions. You're just going to say, hey, this is a mandatory fee. I'm not going to tell you to pay it. I'm just going to make it a mandatory fee. So we just diffuse that problem. If I need more data from you, I'm not going to call you up. I'm going to put it on the entry form and you're going to fill it out in the entry form. The other thing to consider to smooth out the rider's experience and to make it easier for yourself to collect is digital waivers. We don't particularly care if you use StriderPlus or you use another digital waiver solution that works for your venue, but you strongly need to consider moving your venue to digital waivers. The more you introduce download and upload issues and signing and printing, the more friction you're putting into the rider's entry. So if you have a digital waiver, which just has a link or a QR code for your rider, it's going to be a lot easier for them to quickly and seamlessly enter your activity, especially if there's a waiver involved, which 98% of the time there is for the various horse shows. So on the Strider, that waiver link is there front and center for the riders to be able to access and sign. To the right, you see an example of a QR code that one of our venues has put up. People show up at her venue and she says, okay, before you mount, sign this and, scan this on your phone and sign it. In the upper right is a QR code underneath the word Strider. And that is our digital waiver demo. So feel free, go ahead and sign it. It's the USEF liability agreement. Go ahead and sign it as many times as you want. You're going to see what the riders see, which is basically you immediately get certification that it's been signed. You're going to get an emailed PDF copy of it, and the venue is going to get a PDF copy of it. So if you want to see that demo, go ahead and sign it, scan it with your phone, and give it a shot. The organizer's plans compared. StriderBasic, free, get you digital entries, digital payments. You have to sign up for StriderPay with a PayPal business account. Also free, no out-of-pocket costs. We protect you from processing fees. It's fantastic, very popular. You get about a year of data storage. So, you need to download the cogins and things like that. We're not going to store your data for years and years and years. It gets expensive. And you get full access to the basics of what you're going to need to have that Natasha's going to walk through with you. If you need USEF certified entries, if you need safe sport information, if you need longer data storage, if you need that custom functionality like mandatory fees, custom entry forms, then you need StriderGold. If you're looking to sync to Startbox online scoring, event entries, or export it to another entry scoring provider, you're going to want StriderGold. If you're looking for the rev share because you're a 501c3 or a high volume venue, StriderGold. If you're looking for that really enhanced visibility that Natasha's going to talk about, StriderGold. StriderGold is a great option if you're looking to raise your revenue significantly, boost your entries if you haven't been filling your shows. If you already have a wait list at your shows, if you're already filling, if you're just looking to do, you know, I need to do 7,000, 15,000 a year, and that's all I need to do, I'm not looking to grow it, StriderBasic's perfectly fine. Go ahead with StriderBasic. But if you're frustrated because you're not getting where you need to get to, and you're constantly going after the riders to pay fees that they were supposed to pay when they entered, consider StriderGold. I mentioned scoring. Natasha's going to talk to you a little bit more about how the entries coming in look like, so you're aware of it. But after the entries come in, Strider does the data collection, the entry collection, the payment collection. We do it fantastic. We make you money. That's our goal. Our goal is not to cost you a great deal of money. So we leave the show management and the scoring partners to the entities that do scoring management and, you know, show management. So we've partnered with Startbox Online Scoring. We have a one-click integration with them. You can do dressage, you can do pony club, you can do eventing. We're also compatible with event entries, where you can import the stuff right over to event entries, and many others. So because we are universal and we do all disciplines, and because the show management solutions tend to be discipline specific for the most part, or fairly narrow, it doesn't make sense for Strider necessarily to get into that space. But we are happy, and always happy, to partner and to work collaboratively to make sure your entries and your data gets to where it needs to get to, so you can manage your show the way you want to manage it. Most of the time, what needs to happen is you need to send a quick email to whoever you want to use and say, hey, I need you to turn on the ability to import data or a spreadsheet from Strider. It's a very simple technical thing to do, to say, I need to import a spreadsheet. They shouldn't have a problem with it, but go ahead and send them an email. Let us know about it if you've got a preferred show management solution that isn't available immediately when you sign up, and we're happy to work with you on it. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Natasha to give you some of the behind the scenes of what you're actually going to see as you get into the StriderGold publications, how you decide which form to publish on, and to give you some information on the best practices as well. So with that, over to you, Natasha.
Awesome. Can everybody see my screen yet? Maybe not?
Not yet.
Well, let's try again.
Yes.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you, Tara, for walking us through some of the basics and some of the groundwork of Strider. I, as Tara mentioned, am going to talk everybody through really getting started on the platform, what it looks like from an organizer's perspective and a rider's perspective when things are live on Strider or going to be live. And as I'm talking, please feel free to type questions into the Q&A. I have seen a few questions come in, so we will revisit those at the end. There have been some good questions emailed in as well. So we have lots to cover at the end. I'm going to try to fly through all of this because I know many of you are probably exhausted. It's the end of the day, so we will not take up too much of your time. So as we jump in, and as you jump into setting yourself up on Strider, you're going to want to make sure that you're aware of the platform terms. Terms and conditions, they're pretty basic. They are all very publicly available to you on our website. You'll want to decide on a few things before you sort of jump in, but also remember, you cannot break the platform. I promise. And you can just play around, publish things, unpublish things, all that you want, see what works for you, see what's going to work for your audience. I cannot emphasize enough that Strider can work for you. You might just have to get a little bit creative, right? It is a platform that was built to make a ton of people happy and be quite utilitarian. There are a ton of customizable features, but you have to figure out what's going to work for you and your audience. And that is something that I do not have a crystal ball to help figure out. So I can help you, I can guide you, and that's what we're going to do with some screenshots and stuff in this demo. And again, I'll talk about how to invite riders to your activities, and then best practices to get those activities, those horse shows, those clinics to fill quickly. If I know how to use a computer today. There we go. All right, so we have a couple of options for you, and this is included in StriderBasic. We have the standard activity form, which has pre-selected levels, which we refer to as selections, and then tests and that sort of thing, right? So we said, wow, a lot of people organize jumper shows and they all kind of offer the same height, and a lot of people offer dressage shows and they all offer the same tests. So we built a bunch of templates to save you time as an organizer. These do not include the specific gymkhana class or, frilly pony lead line that you only offer at your show that makes it so unique and so special. So for that, we have another option. You can fully customize your activity with the custom activity builder or wizard, whatever you want to call it. This is where you name your selections. And you can see here in this screenshot, the selection name is just blank. You can set it as an entry fee or an audit fee. You can do whatever you need to do to make it so that when the entries come in, it's nice and organized, right? So if you're organizing a clinic, or if you have a horse show where you really want your class numbers to match up exactly with the prize list that you printed out and mailed to everybody 15 years ago, cool, great. You can do that. So again, this is totally customizable for you, and both of these are available on StriderBasic, so you do not need to pay to access these features. A couple of things just to go over as you're building your activity is that you want to leverage your title, because it's going to be the first thing that comes up when somebody searches for you on Google or through the internet, right? So you want to make sure that you have sort of your who, what, when, where, why questions answered in your title and your description. The first line of your description is going to make it easier for folks to find you on the internet as well. The other thing that I love to tell organizers to do in the description section is train your riders. Use the space to tell riders what you need them to do, right? Especially if you're just pivoting to using Strider as your online entry form, you might need to help those riders along a little bit. It's intuitive, I promise, but if they've never seen it before, they might get a little hung up and a little bit frazzled, right? So you can use the description space to tell them what to expect and how you are expecting their entry to come in. Okay, so here's what a rider will see when they are signing up for an activity that has used a standard entry form or a standard organizer setup, standard selection. So you'll see it's pretty straightforward, right? The dressage tests appear. They're then going to select from a drop down. That big long list that is scrolling by right now is just what you have selected as things that you want to offer at this show. On the right side of the screen here, you'll see what the rider really sees when they click through to the registration page. So they get a big old drop-down menu of all the tests that you have inputted, and they get to select which one they want to do, or 2 or 3. This is an example of one where a haul-in fee is not made mandatory, right? So remember, that's something that Tara discussed a bunch as being a StriderGold feature. This rider does not have to pay a haul-in fee or an office fee. However, if this organizer were on StriderGold and were pretty ticked that they had a bunch of secretary and office fees skipped, they could make that fee mandatory, and it would just pop up for the rider as something that needed to be included in their total. So just some food for thought as you're thinking of how to use Strider for your purposes. You can take all of that into consideration. And then the screen here with the phone, that is what your listing will look like on the Strider calendar as riders are scrolling by looking for things in their area. Here is an example of what the rider will see if you create a custom selection entry form. Oh, and look, this organizer does have a mandatory stall mucking deposit fee. So that's how that pops up, right? It's pre-selected for the rider. It looks pretty much the same as what you saw before, right? The rider will have access to everything all in one place, and they'll move through the entry form. They'll upload their documents, same as the standard selections. But again, these names are just entirely customized by the organizer. So, we don't have in a pre-made template the Joker's Wild 3-foot show jumping only or cross-country logs, right? So that's where your pink frilly pony lead line class can go, if that's something that you choose to offer. Once a rider submits their payment, they will receive an immediate entry confirmation, which is awesome because you know what you're not doing at 2 o'clock in the morning when this person decided to enter? Responding back to them being like, yep, got your entry, because it's already happened through Strider. It's great. The other fantastic thing that happens is that the rider sees exactly the information that they have told you and shared with you. So that's a really unique and ideal feature of Strider, is that the rider, that sort of the bulk of the communication is largely done. And there are no stones left unturned in that sense. They can also see if they've attached documents or forgotten, which may require a follow-up email. But for the most part, riders are pretty good at moving through the process, and there are some automatic reminders from Strider's end that say, hey, did you attach a Coggins? Which tend to save everybody a lot of time. Here is a little brief tour of the organizer's corner, which will become your sort of home station. Tara mentioned before, and this is one of our top 10 features for sure, is the ability to edit and make changes and republish any live activity. So you'll see there's a little hand holding a pencil icon next to the name of the published activity in your organizer corner. And you just click that, make any changes that you want and republish. And the link stays the same. So if you've posted it everywhere, doesn't matter. It's just going to get updated. And it does not impact your entries in any way if you make a change to the text or if you make a change to your inventory. Nobody's going to get like kicked out of the show. That is something you could do, but it's not going to happen with a simple edit. So again, you can see right at a glance what funds are in your account. And as Tara mentioned, everything through StriderPay just ends up right in your designated PayPal account. And then, you can move it to your bank account and you can set up auto sweep, all that stuff. You can see your riders attach documents. You can see any notes from your riders. So if someone enters and they put in a note to the organizer that says, I'm trailering with Susie and I cannot ride in the morning, then you're going to see that note pop up next to their entry here. And be able to reference it at a glance as you're doing whatever you need to do to get organized for the activity. Some other things in the organizer's corner are your entry reports, which are fantastic spreadsheets that download automatically. So you just click the button that says entry reports, download, and then you will have likely in your downloads folder on your computer, a brand spanking new CSV file with all of your entries up to date, as of the last time that you downloaded that file. Once you've downloaded it, it's not going to auto update, if that makes sense. So you'll need to re-download a new version if you get a new entry. And then over here, you'll see on the phone is just a display of the confirmation email that you receive as an organizer when an entry comes in. So some best practices for organizers. Again, things have shifted. The Strider has sort of more power than some of the other entry platforms that are out there. And we want everybody to be able to use all of the tools available on Strider to the best of their ability. So we have some best practices to share. One of them is to get familiar with Strider's organizer guide. It can answer a lot of your questions, but you can also email our support team if you are very stuck. We also have an organizer training video just like this on our YouTube channel. And this one will also go on YouTube. So sorry to everybody watching it on YouTube. Something that I really am very passionate about is the free marketing that you get from Google. Take advantage of it. Google is a big old company. It does not matter if you leech off of that free marketing or not. So we built Strider with search engine optimization in it, which means that every page on Strider is sort of boosted to get you better visibility on Google search results. So if somebody types in horse shows near me and your activity is on Strider, or, clinics, dressage clinics near me, whatever the term is, your Strider listings are going to pop up first. They're going to pop up earlier in that search. Something else that is really, really important is getting the word out to people, right? So make them feel invited. Post your link on your social media platforms, and share it in email lists. Grow an email list. You can use your Strider activities in those entry spreadsheets to grow an email list. Just copy and paste those emails. We have fantastic free tools like MailChimp, iContact, Constant Contact. Those are all really robust email programs, which is truly an entire separate webinar. But leverage your email list and send out invites, send out opening date reminders, closing date reminders, so that you are filling your horse shows as quickly as possible, or clinics. So we deal with a lot of venues at Strider across a lot of disciplines. And what we see across high performing venues, and high performing clubs and high performing organizers is that they have really clear and upfront policies, right? So they're going to stick to their guns on a late fee and an entry closing date and all of that. They are accepting online payments in a way that is streamlined. So something like StriderPay, where it's all happening in one place. They're using a digital waiver service. Again, like Tara said, we don't care if you use StriderPlus or not. That's okay. There are others. StriderPlus is great. I actually use it at my own facility. You want to make sure that you're using high quality photography and high quality imagery. You want to make sure that you are leveraging things like social media and Google search results to really spread the word. Something that's also fantastic about Strider is that we partner with industry leaders like Eventing Nation and the United States Eventing Association to help our organizers reach more riders. Use an email list. Don't just BCC people on an email with the link to your horse show. It's just not a great idea. Again, this is a whole nother webinar. And then make sure that you are findable via Google. And then repeat your marketing, right? The other thing to do is to make sure that you're leveraging Strider's tools like templates and publishing off of those templates, which are very, very handy. So when you create your draft in Strider of your activity, you can save it as a template, and that way you've got it 90% done so that you can publish your next 10 or whatever, right? So these are all things that print and maybe texting out an entry form Word document don't offer you. So make sure that you're taking all of these things into consideration as you're moving through the process. So to move into our sort of recap and Q&A session, get a little bit prepared to make Strider work for you, right? So you've got to figure out the ins and outs of exactly what you need, and then sort of use the tools that Tara and I have talked through to make them work for you and your audience. Be really, really clear with your riders. It may require a little bit of rider training to get them all on board and all working the way that you want them to work, right? But that's going to happen with any entry platform ever, or any entry system, whether it's paper, which I don't know, that's too much training for me, or something else that you can think of, like a Google form and a Venmo payment in 2 different places, right? You're still gonna have to train those riders. Make it easy for riders to enter your activity, because it's going to save you a ton of hassle and headache. There are a bunch of QR codes here that you can scan, and those all have more information on our website about our products, as well as written out answers to organizer frequently asked questions and some other details. So with that, I will stop my screen share, and we can jump into the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Tasha, if you want to go one more slide, there were some great questions that came in on the StriderPay fee setup that we can quickly answer.
Okay, do you want me to just pop to that slide?
Yeah, it's the next slide after, sorry, I just had a stink bug. Next slide after the ending slide. So we had a couple questions on StriderPay fees, things like that. So while Natasha pulls up the slide, I can talk to it a little bit. Your agreement with PayPal is with PayPal directly. So PayPal decides what your fees are on your account. If you are a nonprofit, if you're a 501c3, you get preferred rates. So your rates are not the normal rates that a general, equestrian venue might get. If you're a high volume venue, you're going to get preferred rates. So what's on the left is sample rates. And you can all do math just as well as anyone. When the customers pay with PayPal or Venmo, you see a rate that is 3.49% at plus 49 cents flat fee per transaction. What does that mean? Well, if you're only processing $2, they're going to charge you 3.49%, but that's not enough to cover PayPal's costs. So they have a flat fee of no matter how low it is, you have to pay at least 49 cents per transaction. So we know that. And so we add that to every transaction and say, hey, listen, we know the organizers and the venues don't want to pay that. So we're going to add the worst case scenario, which is 3.49% and 49 cents per transaction to try to cover the costs. Now, on the right-hand side, you see a different fee. You see that in the customers pay with credit or debit card, it's 2.59%, which is lower than what we estimate is going to happen. So when the money comes into your account, that's your money. So you can see on the right-hand side, there's an example of we collected $160. And then what did the riders sign up for? They signed up for a jump around, 100 round, and a stall deposit. $150 was really what the venue wanted to get. So PayPal takes their chunk out of it. Strider takes their portion out of it. And then the venue, because this particular rider paid with credit card, and that's a lower processing rate than PayPal, got a little bit extra in their account. And so that's how it works. Your fees are going to depend on what you negotiate. Generally speaking, most of you are going to have 3.49% and 49 cents for PayPal and Venmo, if that's how the rider chooses to pay. So you'll see a couple pennies difference as the money comes in, but you're always going to be able to pull a payment report in Strider to figure out who paid you for what. Your rates specifically in your account can be accessed when you log into PayPal. Go to that URL up there and you're going to see it. And then you're going to see, like, example, if one rider pays you for a clinic or a horse show entry with credit card, you're going to get a couple pennies more, maybe $1 more than if they paid you with PayPal or Venmo. So hopefully that answers that question. We had another question on the 25-cent fee for sign waivers. That 25-cent fee for the waivers was a reference to, this is back on StriderPlus when we had the little quarter showing on the screen. That was referencing that you as an organizer, your cost to you to accept a digital waiver is basically 25 cents per signature. So if you look at $25 for the starting plan, you get 100 signatures on the starting plan. So it's about 25 cents a signature. So if your sanity is worth it, spend the 25 cents and get the digital signature. Hopefully that helps. Let's see what else, what other questions came in.
We had a question about toggling between the standard form and the custom form. So if you have a clinic set up on basic using the standard form and you realize it would work better with the custom form, can that be done after you've already received entries without losing the ones that have already signed up?
Yes. It's always better to set it up the way you want to set it up the first time, but sometimes that happens. So two options there. You set it up on the custom form and our support team would transfer over your entries over to the new form, over to the new activity. That new activity is going to have a new link, basically. It's basically a brand new activity. Or you say, hey, I've reached my inventory in the first one. I'm going to close that one. Let me open up the second one. And then you just shuffle between the two. So yeah, either one. You're not canceling you just don't want to cancel the first activity, because that's going to send an email notification to your riders that you canceled the activity, and they're going to think you closed the clinic or cancel the clinic. 1 month, I'm assuming there's a question here about, can you purchase just 1 month, or are you required to purchase an annual subscription and pay monthly? Is that StriderGold question, I'm assuming?
Probably. Or
Yeah.
StriderPlus. I mean, either one.
Okay, so StriderGold, yes, you can do monthly. We offer a massive discount if you do an annual. So, you know, like any software sales, you pay month to month, you're going to pay more because you have the flexibility of going month to month. So totally fine to just do 1 month. And then if it doesn't work out for you, you end it with the month, let us know. Or if you prefer to get the cost savings of doing an annual subscription, you do the annual subscription. So that's fine. Same thing works for StriderPlus. You can't do 1 month, but you can do, for example, if you're hosting a big horse show, like a championship horse show, you can pay for a championship level StriderPlus. That's good for, I think it's 120 days. And that'll allow you to collect, 700 signatures over the course of the horse show because you don't need it for the full year.
And what is the cost of 1 month of StriderGold?
I believe it's $60 now. $59.99, I think is what I saw. So it is definitely cheaper to do the annual. I mean, your monthly rate on an annual is going to be about $34.99. So it's definitely cheaper on an annual. But we do have some people that are going month to month. Sometimes if you're in a membership organization, you can only do month to month because that's how your treasurer works. They don't want to do an annual obligation. So that's fine too.
Any other, Tara, there was a question emailed in, oh, is there a way that our organization can cover the costs charged to the riders at registration?
Nope. So that's because you can always refund the money if you want. So if you're an organization, if you're a nonprofit and you're pulling in fees and you want to give money back, you're certainly welcome to issue them a refund because you have full control of the money. So if you say, listen, I don't want you paying, the $3 fee or whatever, you just issue them a refund and say, I'm going to give you a rebate. We've seen some associations say, for the first 20 complete entries that cause us no stress, we'll give you an X dollar rebate. You're welcome to do that. But the fee structure is set up because that's what really has worked best throughout the industry. It's what the riders expect because they've been told for years, add X, Y, and Z to their processing rates, and the venues just can't absorb the fees at this point.
I see a question here about extending a closing date. Yes, you can absolutely edit your opening date, closing date, anything you want. If you have your closing date that you want to extend, and you've set up a late fee to kick in, you'll also want to extend that date. Otherwise, you've extended a closing date and then your riders are going to get slapped with a late fee in some cases because the late fee will kick in automatically. So just make sure that if you're updating one thing, you're updating another as you're moving through. And then we have another question. Is Strider partnered with Fox Village? Will they allow us to download the spreadsheet?
Just need to send them an email and tell them that's what you want to do.
And then does the StriderBasic include the reports? Yes.
Yes, it includes the reports except for the scoring reports. So it's not going to include your Starbucks scoring report. It's not going to include your report that gives you access to the custom fields that you create, because you can't create custom fields. But it's going to give you your payment report, your short entry report, your long report. So yes, it's going to give you reasonable functionality on your reports.
Anything else? Was there another one emailed in? I know that we had a list somewhere, Tara, but I just had that one written down.
I think that was it.
Okay, well, that's good. All right.
All right. We've got the support at email address that was on the Q&A slide. right there. So if you have any questions after this webinar, you're there at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I wish I'd asked, feel free to send us an email. We're happy to answer it. If you need some additional information on any of the software that we've shown today, feel free to reach out and ask us. We're always happy to answer. The QR code there is the digital toolkit that has some of the resources that Natasha mentioned. Again, that's a whole other webinar, but a lot of those things in that toolkit are free. So take a look at it and help yourself to any of the resources that you can take advantage of there, because it's a great toolkit to use.
Thank you all so much for coming. And like Tara said, we're happy to answer any of your questions. So we hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Very much appreciate you coming.